Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. You've caught me in the middle of a project, sort of. Judging by the title, you'll know what's going on here. We're doing an electric window conversion on our Civic, but essentially this whole process will work on any car. I've already got my door card off because I just wanted to see that I could do this in the first place, just because not all cars will have the clearance for it. But fortunately mine does. It's got a big hefty gap where I can fit all my stuff here. So in the kit, pretty much what you get are two of these motors, you get a bunch of adapters, you get these mounting plates, and there's also a bunch of wiring with a switch panel and a whole lot of wiring to make all of this work. It is a lot easier than you think. Most of the hassle you're gonna run into is actually mounting this. So I've just got this sort of sitting here. This is how I'm gonna mount that. Fortunately, these guys are quite flexible, so I've just got that zip tied, but you can flip these, you can bend these to any which way to make them fit. So this is where I'm at. I've just had this practice fitted. I was using this just to test that it would work, and it does, which is good. So essentially what we're doing, we're gonna be replacing our manual windows with electric ones. And these kits are universal. They come with a whole heap of adapters. It cost me like 80 bucks off eBay. And the Honda people out there, I know the GLIs have electrics in their windows. Just go buy a door off one of them. But that's a lot of hassle. I'd have to go gut the interior of one. I'd have to go get a new door, blah, 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 blah. I can't be bothered. This was $80 and probably a lot cheaper in the long run. And it's a fun little project to do. So that's what we're up to today. A major issue is going to be getting the wiring in from the door, passing it into the cabin. So to get to that for us, we need to remove our fender here so we can access the grommet that runs the wiring into the cabin. You can sort of see, you can't really see, but my finger's touching it down there. So we're gonna go ahead and knock this quarter panel off. Here is one quarter panel. Okay, now we can sort of have a better look at what we're getting into. This is our connection from the cabin into our door. Essentially, we need to run these two switches, there's two wires there, and some of this cable here. I need all of that to run through there into the door. So I don't know how effectively this is going to go. If I can run it into this sort of cover as well, that would be ideal, because that way we're not doing anything extra. Otherwise, if I could just zip tie it to the outside of this, well, that might work maybe. But yeah, that's what we need to do. We need to get this, all of this wiring tucked through that. And it's the same deal on the other side, I'm pretty sure. So let's jump to this. All right, this is what we are up to now. I've pulled out grommet access to in the cabin now, and I've unplugged this. There's a lot of white goop, especially on the plug inside there, which I've pushed out into the door. Problem is, where's my wiring? These guys are quite thick. They're quite big. I'm gonna have to feed all of these guys through there, which I think the go was to drill a tiny, tiny little hole. So these can be sort of wedged up in the corner so you can still have that plug on that. I should be able to feed these through here. There should be enough space for these guys just to run through. But yeah, figuring out how these are gonna stay in there while trying to keep it waterproof, that is our next challenge now. Look at that sunset. Isn't that pretty? Anyway, back to what we were doing. I've done a lot of fiddling around. Ignore the drill, don't mind that. But we have made our way from the cabin out. I'm gonna attempt to tuck these through this to make them sort of weatherproof. In the door, yeah, so I sort of gave up, drilled some holes so these can sort of tuck up in there. And I'm gonna deburr them and see if I can find like a little rubber grommet so they don't eventually rub through the wire. But now I'm guessing how much wiring I'm gonna need lengthwise into the door. This is probably enough, to be honest. I don't really need heaps because we're only trying to get, yeah, to about here-ish. We need to locate what we're going to do with our switch panel. Okay, quick update. I completely forgot where I had last left off, but we have tucked our wires back in through the door, and now I've been playing around getting this thing to work, which it does. Obviously we have a heap of cable here. This will all get tucked up through the dash. I'm going to do that off camera. Oh, it's very dark. But we have our positive and our negative or ground. We need to go ahead and mount this. So I've already got this side sort of set up. That's how it's going to be mounted there, to keep it nice and fixed in. But the next thing is finding where I can mount this without it being a trouble to fit that. Hoping I could sort of keep it in this void there and sort of not really tuck it in there, but get it in there a little bit. Then use that first mount and mount it there so it sort of sits like that. Obviously the wiring's not really going to be too much of an issue clearance wise. I've got plenty length of cable. It'll sit sort of here anyway, so I've got plenty of cable to play with, but it's just up to mounting our motor on. So this side, that's how it's going to sit, nice and simple. There's nothing on the back side that I'm going to hit. I'm not going to hit the glass or anything, but it's just this guy. And I need to figure out the spot on where to mount it, so I'm going to go ahead and jump to that. Okay, it is a few days later, and this is sort of where we're at. Driver's side motor, that is completely fixed in. This is how it's going to sit. It works like this. That's all nice and mounted. Obviously I need to deal with the actual mounting of the wire in the door and cut the holes in our door card over there. Before we do that, I'm going to find our sort of permanent solution for our power and ground. For the 1 millionth time, I've pulled this head unit off. So this right here, this is what our clock used to plug into. So what I think I'm going to do is borrow the accessory power off this wire here. I believe the black is ground, but I believe the red is accessory power and the yellow is constant power. So I think I have to borrow off the red. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to snip this plug off, wrap up the other two wires that I'm not going to use, and then plug our battery back in and see if that will do the trick. Okay, I've gone ahead, I've borrowed the accessory power and ground from the old clock that used to run, well, used to sit there with the old head unit. So now we grab our switch panel and turn on our accessories. You can see we have power. So we have down and we've got up. So that has been sorted out. Now we get the fun task of routing the passenger side door wires through up into the dash. I'm going to try put them up through the dash and get them behind this bracket, because there's already a cable that sort of runs along back there out to the back side of this glove box, which I'll have to remove later. I reckon I can probably just sit them on where these wires go, and then we have to find out how we get them through the door into the door jamb. So I'm going to go ahead and route these wires. We'll knock off the door card and then we'll get started on essentially doing the same thing just on the other side. And then after that we will mount our switch panels. It's been like a week since that last clip, but we're pretty much done. I just need to throw the door card on this side, but we've got ourselves a handy dandy switch panel, which we'll do both doors. We've got this side obviously, going that way, and then we've got this switch here which controls that side door. I've just got it unplugged for the moment while I can route my cabling. I need to put them and tuck them away so I can go ahead and throw our door panel on. We've got all of our stuff ready to go. The door card, I've had our thing screwed in. I've got this cut out ready to go to fit over the top of that. And we've got our motor wired up with the wires running through into the cabin, which is all tucked behind the glove box. Now I'm going to go ahead and throw this door panel on so we can finish up, and just like that we are done. This side doesn't look too bad, mainly because the switch module is pretty small, and obviously you have a little grommet to cover up where the handle went. The other side doesn't look too bad. I forgot the keys. Doesn't look too bad. Obviously it is a bit harder to do because the switch panel is a lot bigger than the other side, but overall I'm pretty happy with how it went. It was pretty standard. There's no exposed wiring or whatever. It all works as it is supposed to. So they all light up. That guy over there is lit up. So I have control of my windows and control of my windows from here. So pretty simple. And obviously, I think as I mentioned before, you can get the doors with electric windows but honestly, this was probably the cheaper route. It was 80 bucks for a kit, so I'm not gonna complain, and I think it doesn't look too bad. So I'm pretty happy with them. Maybe in the future, if I get a electric window door card, just the outer skin, maybe I'll swap them over and figure out how to use the switches in the OEM spots. But that's gonna do us for this video at least. Stay tuned, because I've got some more parts over there, but you'll see that next time. So thank you for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Peace.